Hi everyone, welcome to We Ain't No Hippies podcast number 5.
Number 5.
Can't believe we're on number 5 already.
Quick.
Wow. Thanks for watching, listening and subscribing everyone. Really great to have you all on board. Subscribe and like to our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram. You can go to weaintnohippies.com and you can find everything there in one easy place.
On this podcast, we are talking about the top 5 things for a simpler road trip. What we're talking about is phone apps, different apps that we use that we find super helpful. Number 2 is the toll roads situation. Number 3, laundrettes. Number 4, how to get parcels sent to you. And number 5, how to gain local knowledge wherever you're going. So let's start with the phone apps then.
Do you want to talk through this one? You know a bit more about it?
We know a little bit about it. One of the main ones we use is Park4Night. Park4Night, yeah. This is quite a popular one. It's got 500,000 downloads and it's been around for about 7-8 years now. What it does is it shows you every location on a map, whether that's a wild camping spot, a free airs or a campsite. And so you can type in your location or zoom in on the map and it just brings all of them up as little icons. It's really helpful, isn't it? We use it a lot.
Yeah. I think part of the reason it is so popular is because it does have those wild camping sites.
Yeah.
And people can put comments onto them and testify whether it was good or not, and they can add a photo.
Yeah, or if there's been spates of crime or burglary and whether to avoid it. It's worth checking the comments we find because sometimes the location is slightly off, and like where we are now, you had to come through a bus station to get to the spot as opposed to where the actual app told us to go to.
Yeah, but that's because of recent building. This area that we're actually on now is newly built, so the access isn't the same.
Yeah, the surrounding area is different. You can only do one level of filter search, so you can't look for different things. The only filter search we've found is you can set the height of your vehicle, which is quite helpful for certain people. So this is a free app. We use the free version all the time, and it's really helpful as a free version, but you do have a paid version as well, which the only difference I read is you can download all the data and use it off the phone, or just off the phone, not on the internet, and there are no adverts.
I haven't really noticed any adverts while using the version we've got though, so they're not that intrusive.
They're not intrusive. I've seen them around a few times, but there's nothing. They don't take up your whole screen and suddenly block your view when it's really important.
But certainly using it offline is going to be useful for a lot of people.
Yeah, if you're not up for the data cost. Using it and the user interface is a bit clunky. It's a bit outdated. And occasionally it's a bit buggy, like we're trying to look on an area and it won't refresh it, it won't show all the icons, so you have to come out, clear your cache and go back in, and then it works. But for free, it's we think it's great.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
For something that's free, you can't fault it.
No, that's right.
Even though we just did.
It's a minor fault. Nothing's perfect. But this is in comparison to the other app we use, and we just use 2 for finding locations and places to stay, is Campcontact. Now, this had a much smaller amount of downloads, 100,000 downloads, compared to the 500,000 on Park4Night.
However, I have heard other people talking about Campcontact, whereas I haven't heard other people talking about Park4Night when we talk to people. Oh, okay.
Yeah, when we're up at the coast, on the east coast of Spain, the South African guy, he had it. He'd got there because of Park4Night.
Oh, okay.
And then I told him about Campcontact. So this one is newer. It's been designed since 2013, but it's got less locations available. Not in terms of the quantity, but in terms of only got airs, campsites and services. They don't show wild camping spots. And that is because it's designed and built and maintained by the Netherlands Camper Motorhome Association or something like that. So they've got a bit of a vested interest there. But you can, the better thing about this one is you can filter out your searches. If you want to find somewhere with services, with a water and a waste dump, you can search just for that. If you wanted something to be free, or a space to be free, or maybe less than €10 or more than €10, you can filter out in that way. You can decide what kind of terrain you're happy with, whether that's hard standing or complete off-road or just gravel. So there's lots of variables in that, and it's well worth the $5.99 we paid for the year on it.
So there is only the paid version, isn't there?
Yeah.
You get a week's free trial.
It's quite limited.
It's that's more. It's more limited, the week's free trial, than what you get when you pay the full amount, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you don't see all of the locations. It just to give you an idea of how it works more than anything.
It's totally worth it. It's $5.99 per year.
Annually.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of money you could potentially save with it, if that's your game.
It's
brilliant.
Using it is a lot smoother. It's updated more frequently. Both of these apps are community-based apps, so people put into them. They put in the locations, they put in comments and photos. So, although the Campcontact doesn't have the wild camping spots, which to me is some of the best spots, and takes you straight to where you would like to be more often than not, the Campcontact is great for those services and finding where to dump water and waste and get free water. All of that side, and the user interface is smooth.
It's very easy to use.
Yeah, so there are two apps we use for finding where to park more often than not, or user services. Which takes us on to the third app and the final app we use nearly every day, which is simply Google Translate. It's a free app. You can download all of your languages offline onto your phone, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It translates languages from one to another
in several different ways.
Yeah, so you can either type in manually into it onto your phone, you can talk into it, you can have a two-way conversation, so it can automatically recognize, for example, English or Portuguese and French, and so you can just talk through the app, which we haven't done yet.
No,
we did have a laugh with it though, just kind of playing with it. Or you can use the camera function, so you can hold up your phone and it will, in live view, translate either a menu or a signpost or anything worded, and just translate in front of your eyes, which is pretty radical.
Yeah, I think I was like,
I was amazed. It took me quite a while to stop being so amazed at it. But that is invaluable. It's got us out of trouble in a few times. When trying to buy parts for the truck, got us out of trouble with the police, because it kind of softened the blow a bit there when we could explain the situation a bit better. So that is invaluable. And you can download all the languages offline, so you don't have to be online all the time, but it either needs to be online or the language is downloaded. And I think they're about 10 megabytes per language or something like that, so they won't take up a huge amount of space on your phone. You don't have to have a massive phone to do that and keep that kind of up. But that is the top 3 apps, in our opinion, that you should be doing.
Definitely.
So that takes us on to the second top tip for making life easier on the road, which is using toll roads. Now, some people don't like this, do they? Some people don't use toll roads, some people do. It comes down to where you want to be, when you want to be there, what kind of vehicle you've got, how long you've got. But we've used them because we've got a heavier vehicle, and we just find it's more cost efficient on fuel rather than stop starting. And
there's also a lot of bloody tiny roads which I would not want to get stuck down.
Yeah, if you're bigger.
Portuguese guys shouting at me.
Yeah.
Not for that.
But beyond whether you think they're good or not, there's a couple of things that we've learned that are worth knowing.
Which we did not know.
We didn't
until the time.
we were trying to pay for the toll.
Yeah, so each country's had its own kind of thing. So far we've come through France, Spain, and a little bit of Portugal.
Well, we drove entire length across Portugal, so I'd say it's a
Width.
reasonable amount. Width.
The width.
Yeah.
So France, we have a prepaid MasterCard which's got our travel money on, kind of thing. That worked in France, using those toll roads, no problem at all. Entered Spain. Initially that was no problem, but then for some reason it just stopped accepting it.
Didn't want to work.
So we paid with. I tried to pay with a combination of cash and change. I think it was €7 something. Didn't like the fact I tried to use some cash and some coins.
Yeah.
So you have to either pay in all cash notes or coins, which was a really strange one. We had to get someone over to help us with that. And then coming into Portugal, it wouldn't accept the MasterCard. Tried to use a Visa card and it accepted that initially, but then again stopped accepting that, and it was the same situation with the combination of cash and coins. So definitely always make sure you've got a healthy amount of coins and cash.
So also in Portugal there's an autoplate system which has to be on Visa. So you either need a MasterCard, a Visa card, you need notes, and you need coins. You need all of those in abundance and available, otherwise you're stuck.
What I would say about the autoplate recognition one in Portugal as well is the route we took anyway, there wasn't any option to pay other than paying with a Visa card.
Yeah, that's it.
You could back out and park up and maybe go and try and speak to the guy in the
I don't think there was a booth. I don't think there was a booth.
No.
There was quite isolated.
Yeah.
So you've got to be prepared for all of them. Have plenty of them available all the time. And if you haven't got them,
Visa cards.
plenty of Visa cards. Could be in your name, they couldn't be. It's up to
They
you.
don't check, it's fine. Laundrettes.
Laundrettes have
really
been
important one.
the best experience.
We love them.
Because we used a laundrette a lot in England when during the winter periods living in the van, when we didn't have the washing machine, couldn't use what we had as our washing machine before we shipped it back to England on our trailer. So we'd use quite a few laundrettes and they were fine, you know, typical
Standard.
English.
Give us your clothes,
laundrette.
give us your money.
Yeah, or you'd go in and do it yourself, which means you'd have to have the exact change to put in every single machine, and go in with your detergent and softener, whatever you wanted to do.
Can't leave it though, because you worry it gets nicked while you're walking around.
I think that's possible anywhere. But here, what we found is the same as in England. Every sizable town and city certainly has laundrettes available. We found them to be really clean and modern. Now, the reason they're so good is the modern aspect. Firstly, rather than having to put money and change into each individual machine, there's one central console, which is all digital. All of the machines, whether that's a washing machine or tumble dryer, are numbered. So you go to your central console, you put in your money, which is notes, coins, or a card, like Visa card or anything, and you select your machine, and it will actually give you change. Now
Not this no change given nonsense that's all over England.
So it actually is really easy to use. And because it's all digital, every single one I've been able to change the language. So you haven't been guessing your way through, change the language and you're there. They all have baskets, linen baskets, so you can transfer your clothes from the washing machine to the tumble dryer.
I think my favourite thing about them as well that we found out, every single one we've been to so far, it automatically adds detergent and sometimes conditioner included in the cost in the wash. It just shoots it in automatically.
And it's not too an intrusive kind of, it's not really chemically smelling. No. It's quite mild and sympathetic because we're not really keen on that overly perfumed and fragrant kind of chemical smell you often get with a lot of detergents.
Cheap ones, yeah.
And the best one we had this week, best laundrette experience this week. Now, it was, as always, clean, digitally controlled, so it's really efficient.
Lots of very helpful people from
There were
Nathan
really
Broke the
helpful
Machine.
people. Now there were some super comfy chairs at the back, and you go to sit down on the chairs, and there's a cinema screen while you wait for your washing to be done, because they know that you're there for a period of time. And it was just the best. It had free Wi-Fi. I was going to camp up there, I reckon.
So Nathan was doing that while I was outside with Floyd.
The dog,
in the rain.
yeah.
Wasn't raining, but...
So laundrettes are everywhere, and they're really easy to use. Don't need your own washing up liquid or powder. You don't have to have exactly the right change all of the time. It will take notes. So don't worry about that. It's quite a relaxed and easy experience, isn't it?
Yeah, they're brilliant. They're great.
Yeah, they are.
So receiving post and parcels,
which is our point number 4. 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you are going to be travelling for a more extensive period of time,
or if you forgot something really vital that you can't
your
get out
visa
here.
card,
yeah,
stuck on a toll road somewhere.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that you're going to have to receive something at some point. For us, anyway, it's inevitable. The best thing ever is the post restance system that seems to be roughly global, worldwide. I mean, they definitely do in Brazil, because I accidentally looked up a town in Brazil, not Portugal. So it's basically just a way of having something delivered to a post office, and then you can go and pick it up.
Yeah.
Which a lot of post offices in England say doesn't exist, but it definitely does. So there we go. It's super easy. There's an amazing Wikipedia article where someone's gone through and listed each country that does it and how they do their addresses for it, which is just absolutely amazing.
So what this is you can get a parcel sent to the local post office, and you can then just show your passport and pick it up. So wherever you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And it takes... We've found it takes up to 5 days is kind of, I think, roughly the longest time. So you have to either hang around where you are or prepare in advance and move towards that area. We found that we've generally stuck to larger towns, where people is slightly more used a service. We haven't tried a small village or anything like that, because much like small village post offices in England, they're not that familiar with all of the post office's services, and they certainly don't usually care. So we've just stuck with the larger towns, and it's been really helpful. We've had
super easy
LPG fittings sent to us. I'm sure we've picked up a couple of things, but I can't think what they are.
Stuff.
So it's much simpler than you think to receive parcels while travelling in Europe.
Really easy. Do check though that the one you're having it sent to does that service, and that information should be available on that country's postal website.
Yeah, we found it certainly in the south of Europe so far.
Super easy.
Which kind of brings us to our last and final, and probably the most important point, something that the reason we've learned the most so far, when it comes to whether you can have fires on beaches or whether you can camp or park in certain spots. And that is simply to talk to other people when you're parked up around other people.
Yeah. Learn so much.
Yeah, incredibly so. So don't be shy about it. Just everyone usually is up for chatting.
Yeah.
And they've always learnt something or made a mistake themselves. We've certainly got a few like that. So just do that and you'll learn loads really quickly. So that was our quick podcast then, I think, last week.
Yeah.
But we wanted to just share what we've learnt so you can keep your road trips simpler, and whilst you're kind of venturing into Europe. So thanks for watching and listening. If you're listening to this as a podcast, you can also watch our faces move on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can download it as a podcast if on a future date you haven't got the time to watch it on YouTube or anything like that.
Some early morning commuting listening.
Yeah, or jogging, or breakfast, whatever you're doing.
Or in the bath at night.
Or while you're falling asleep. The list is endless, and we could stand here all day and list. But don't forget to go to weain'tnohippies.com. You can follow us all there on the Instagram and Facebook and like everything. So don't forget to like, subscribe and share.
Like.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.